With President Joe Biden, occupying the Oval Office, it's no surprise that Democrats are pushing extreme legislation. We just mentioned the massive spending that would come from the latest coronavirus relief proposal, the blue state bailout, propping up Planned Parenthood, putting more money in their slush funds. But Democrats are also trying to make strides in their social policy with measures like the Inequality Act. This is, as I've been talking about for weeks now, the most egregious attack on religious freedom to ever come out of Congress. And unfortunately, this ideology is already spreading through our schools thanks to executive orders by President Biden. So what are we to do about it? How do we stand up against this radical agenda that, quite frankly, undermines parental rights and it threatens the future of our children? Joining me now to talk about this is Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler. She represents the 4th Congressional District of Missouri, and she spoke earlier today on the House floor against the Inequality Act. Congresswoman Hartzler, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Tony. Good to be here.
Now, you spoke passionately in opposition to what I call the Inequality Act. In fact, I think you used the same term on the House floor. Why are you opposed to this legislation?
Well, it's devastating in all fronts. Not only does it take what is good and puts it in law as it's really evil, but they call it good, and it's going to change every aspect of our life, decimate religious liberties, and also promote taxpayer-funded abortion, all in one act. And so by hijacking the Civil Rights Act and putting in there as a protected class sexual orientation and gender identity, it's going to upend women's sports. It's going to harm parental rights. It's going to impugn on the religious freedoms of all Americans and certainly nonprofits, adoption agencies. It's going to decimate the conscience protections of our medical professionals. And it's going to be very harmful to girls and to women. So it must be defeated, and I'm certainly hopeful that the Senate will defeat this, and we can stop this Trojan horse that will upend all aspects of our life.
Congresswoman Hartzler, this is not a hypothetical in terms of the threats to religious freedom, to women's sports. That's already happened. I mean, that is happening. What this would do is systematize it. This would make it throughout the entire country at every level. I mean, this is one of the most far-reaching pieces of legislation that goes beyond anything we've ever seen in terms of how it affects businesses, how it affects schools, how it affects nonprofits, including churches. I mean, this is far-reaching. And I don't understand how those on the left who support this can say with a straight face that this isn't going to affect women's sports, it's not going to affect religious freedom. We've already seen what it's done.
Yes, the truth is a tricky thing, and that we can see the impact of similar laws at the state level, and it's just decimated the lives and the rights of individuals. Here's 3 examples. So I used to be a track coach. I ran track in high school, played basketball, other sports. And you have Connecticut, their athletic association, that determined a few years ago that transgender males, biological males that identify as females, can compete in women's sports. And as a result, we have 2 transgender males there that have won 15 state championship titles, set 13 records, and we have girls there that have been denied the ability to get those first-place medals or second-place medals, and most importantly, those scholarships, and that has been stolen from them. And this will happen all across the country. We switch to Ohio. We have parents there, a family, where their parental rights were taken away by a judge because they simply did not agree with their daughter having testosterone hormonal treatment so that she could transition to a male. The judge there took away their parental rights, gave it to the grandparent. And this could happen to parents all across the country just simply because you love your child and you want to make the best health care decision for them. And we can look to adoption agencies in several states who have been terminated their ability to provide adoption services because they uphold their religious beliefs and wanting their children that they place it for adoption to be in a loving home with a mother and a father. And we've had hospitals in multiple states that were sued because the doctors and the hospitals refused to do a gender transition surgery on a young person. And the doctor said, this is not necessary. This is going to harm this child permanently. We don't want to participate, and they were sued. So we have these examples of tangible ramifications of this policy. And like you said, if the Equality Act passes, this will be slam dunk across the United States, and people of faith will have no recourse, because the bill stipulates that religion cannot be used as a claim or an objection to adhering to this new form of what they call equality. And so it undermines the First Amendment. It is terrible.
Well, we're going to do everything we can to stop it. We can spend all day talking about it, but we just have a couple minutes left, and I want to transition to what we can do about it, because you're an example of this, a former teacher, home economics teacher. You saw needs in your community. You end up running for office. There is an opportunity and a need for parents right now to step in the gap on behalf of their children in their local communities by running for school board, and it can be done.
Absolutely. If people of faith don't step up and run for office, then we're only going to get people in office who don't share our views and values and who push these detrimental policies. And certainly with these school closures that we have seen, parents need to rise up. I hope it spawns a movement of parents retaking control of their schools for the betterment and the benefit of their children. We need Christians who have compassion, competence, and courage to step up and to be willing to run, to be at that seat at the table, and to help make these decisions, to get our kids back into school, and certainly to protect them with policies of what is taught in that school and make sure that it's positive and for our children.
And you've got a great resource for those parents. It's called Running God's Way. It's how to run a campaign. Very basic, very easy. Running for the school board is not that difficult. Vicki, we're out of time, but we've got a link on our website to your book, Running God's Way. It's a great resource for parents to take on the school board, city council, state legislature. We need it. We need those folks out there. Congresswoman Hartzler, thanks so much for joining us.